Okay, so this is Sumpter, where Grandma Lou grew up. Sumpter, Oregon. Used to be an old logging town.
Well, this is where I grew up. However, the house didn't look nearly that good when I was a kid. We didn't have a stone fence. We just had an old wood fence, and the roof was probably had holes in it, and no second story. But the woodshed out and back is the same. Looked just like that when I was a kid. I had a little playhouse on the side. The garage was probably about the same, except it was wood clad. And those trees that are in the yard were just little bitty trees. And this big fir tree, we dug it up one year, and it was just a little bitty tree that we planted when I was probably about 10 or 12 years old, and now it's a great big tree. Anyway, that's where I grew up. Do you, Phil?
Perfect, Mom.
Grandma Hazelwood lived up here on this other corner, Phil. She would have been my grandmother's mother. And they were, I don't know if you know the story about them, they were very strange people. By the time I knew them, they lived here, but earlier, they lived way out on the Granite Road. He mined, and Bill would say, Grammy said that almost every day they'd walk into town as they got a little older, and she had diabetes and her feet were swollen up, but they'd walk all the way into town and back. I don't know how they lived, you know. Back then you didn't have welfare like you do today, but I suppose they'd pan a little bit of gold, but you know, gold back then was like, what, $40 an ounce, so you...
$40 would go a long way though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it wasn't $40 because it was regulated by the government, and it was $35 an ounce for a couple hundred years.
Really?
And you couldn't...
What backed our money monetary system.
So your great I'd rather just keep the gold. Grandma.
My great-grandma.
They were gold miners. That's what they did for a living.
No, he wasn't my great-grandfather.
She was just your great-grandmother.
Yeah.
Go.
There used to be grizzly bears all over this country in those days, and the last one was a big grizzly between here and Bourne, and they called him Old Silvertip because grizzlies had silver-tipped hair. And they called him Old Silvertip, and my brother saw him one time, and I think that was the last grizzly bear in Baker County, probably. But before that, lots of cougars and bears. There's still lots of cougars up here.
You know, they hunted cougars for a long time, so they really thought them. Well, I don't know if it's bounties, but people were able to kill them. House.
Oh,
Mrs. Slaughter's house?
I thought she was wonderful. My folks, I didn't care that much for her. I think because probably some of the people in town didn't like her because she thought I was special, and the rest of the kids' parents didn't like that much. Anyway,
You are special.
She had this sheep that she let run around town, and she'd come down to
Wasn't she the school teacher?
She was my school teacher, I said. And the lamb would come down to the folks and eat all the flowers through the fence. It was just a wire fence then. And they just got tired of it, and everybody in town talked about it. Well, one day, the garage door was open, and we had chicken feed in there, and the lamb went in to eat the wheat. Of course, we just threw wheat out then to feed the chickens. Bill closed the garage door, and we had lamb to eat. Well, I knew about it. And I don't know how the folks could trust me. I was probably about 10 years old. Oh my goodness, you know, that's a terrible burden to give on a kid to know something like that we ate the teacher's lamb. Anyway, she had a reward going. Anybody that knew some information about her lamb, she'd give 10 cents to. Well, practically every kid in the class collected 10 cents because they saw the lamb over on this street, or they saw the lamb over on that street. And here all the time I knew the lamb was dead. Oh my goodness, I wonder if she could tell by looking at my face that I knew something. Anyway, I never tattled.
You're the only one that didn't collect a dime, and you're the only one that knew.
But I was certainly disgusted with all of those kids for collecting dimes while I was eating the darn lamb.
This is the area I grew up in, eastern Oregon. The ground is dry.
No, but here's what happens.
Dry.
It would come up close like this.
Dry climate,
because
very
it's only that
different
long.
from
And then the bear could just go
the Seattle area, which is wet,
they all tried to surround him, the bear
rainforested.
Dry into Washington or something, and we get on the dry side where they have ponderosa pines. It just reminds me of Sumpter Valley.
Because bears can climb trees.
Like if they see a falcon,
and mule deer.
Slow moving, they can jump off too.
Let's go ahead.
I was watching a Titus one time.
Oldest Sumpter Cemetery. There's a new section and an old section.
There's a house over there. Oh.
I already told him. You'll probably tell him the right way.
When I was a kid, a week or two before Memorial Day, we always came out and cleaned this all up. And I don't remember Bill's father being buried here. All I remember is his mother and his brother, and his brother's name was Christopher. And I'm wondering if some other family member that we didn't know about came out and put a headstone up.
This wouldn't have been his brother Chris, because he was born in died in 1907.
Yeah.
So that would have been Bill's father, Chris.
Bill's father was a miner back east somewhere and had consumption, and I know that they ended up here, and I don't know when his father died. Bill was born in 1904. Well, he must have died here, because Bill was born in 1904 at the Columbia Mine, and his father died in 1907. So, and he died from consumption, which is a lung.
Yeah. Is the Columbia Mine the one that's been born?
It's the one that's gone. There's nothing there. You can't even find
past
it.
born.
But I don't see any Christopher Rowe.
But you know where? Did you hear we're going to get the picture?
What picture?
See, we went in the.
Right there.
Lou, this is your story, and I don't want to take it from you. So tell her about the museum.
This is Bill's mother and father?
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't remember his father. I'm going to have to call Marilyn and ask about it. I don't remember his father being here.
He probably was an elder.
It could be. I don't know where the brother is. But we went to the museum in Baker.
Rowe.
You're
good. I heard Grandpa Jim say
1918.
Rowe, and I was like, that's not my
2003?
Yeah, my God.
Who is that?
Sarah Jane Rowe.
You can barely see the name.
See, Marilyn's middle name is Jane. Granddad Bill's mother's name was Jane.
Well, this is the cabin, Grandma and Grandpa Rig's cabin, where we used to come for Thanksgiving. And the outhouse is across the river. And this was not downtown. You had to cross the bridge and go to the outhouse, and you always wanted to go when nobody was looking. Because when everybody in the cabin knew somebody was in the outhouse, everybody would come out and throw rocks at us. So you'd always try to get it when everybody was preoccupied doing something, and run quick to get back before anybody knew you were gone.
The girls did not want to be disturbed.
No.